That's it. Okay, then the purpose of this webinar is the third webinar of how to use CICD in open source projects. And the idea is that this is the third step of the workflow, let's say. Before starting with CICD, my recommendation always is to start with preparing the repository well, using build management tools, using as much automation as possible, trying to separate the repo from the rest of the tools used. This means that you can use GitHub, but at the same time, we also have the same workflows enabled for GitLab. And in GitLab, for instance, the templates are configured in a different way, but at the end, you are using the same behavior in both projects. Again, we are using Travis for the automation server, and in other projects, what we are using is Jenkins, SonarCloud, and we are using for the private project SonarCube, and finally Docker Hub. And for instance, we in the private projects, what we use is a private repository in Nexus or another available Docker registry in the market. So let's start then. At the end, I put some hands-on, let's say, task before attending the meeting. What you need? You need the GitHub account, you need a Docker Hub account, you need access to Travis using your GitHub account, and the same for code coverage and SonarCloud. The idea of providing this kind of, let's say, tools is that they are completely integrated between them. There are a lot of possibilities, and I will show you how everything is configured. And later on, at the end of the last part of the webinar, is a simple use case that you can use in the daily practice. So Travis, CodeCov, SonarCloud are completely integrated for GitHub open source projects. It's important to remark that it's for projects openly available. I mean, if you want to use private projects, then you need to, let's say, buy an account or something like that, okay? Another important thing, and this is the kind of minor details that are extremely important, okay? It's always mandatory to use a good formatter for your code. Why? Because if someone is reviewing your code, if everything is a mess, I mean, it's only format, but at the end, it's quite important for the sake of clarity. So at the end, the reviewer needs to see that everything is okay and that it is readable enough. So one of the recommendations, always a good recommendation, is indentation, formatting, and so on. And if, as in our case, and this is something we suffer, there is a project that is not that does not include the indentation, try not to put in a feature the modifications for the formatter. Open a new issue with the focus of reformatting and an indentation. This way, when you send the pull request to your partner, to your colleague, or to the administrator, it's he or she is focused on the feature and not the kind of a mess that when you include the formatter, GitHub, it's everything highlighting the changes. So one good recommendation is everything related to formatting in a separate feature, commit, or so on, okay? So regarding the XML indentation, is also a good thing to include some 4 spaces. And then this is I'm using Eclipse usually, so but this is a kind of thing it's included in every IDE you can use. So remember, formatting is quite important for readability, not for you maybe, but when you upload things to GitHub, it's clarity, it's seriously, it's seriousness, and at the end, it's a kind of open source mind. Okay. So from the beginning, we have a GitHub repository, which is called a Spring Boot template. That is accessible here. I put also the slides in the GitHub repository. Okay, so at the end you can download, fork, or wherever you want. And also the slides are accessible from the repository. Okay, so please carefully read. Always carefully read the readme. This is another important thing in the Git repositories. Write good and clear readme files, because probably someone trying to use your component will start with the readme file, and if it's a mess, at the end people cannot use it. So try to write and clear readme files, okay? And another thing you need to do with this repo is to check all the files and configurations, because if you are forking the project, the GitHub repo change, and different security environment variables configuration would change. Okay, and again, use always formatter and XML indentation 4 if you are using Maven. Okay, so regarding the initial configuration, the variables to configure is in the GitHub, modify the repo budgets and description in README, create a new branch release starting from master, also include disclaimer and license agreement, EULA, and substitute all the descriptions and license terms. Okay, regarding the Travis and modify this kind of scripts as such, and also replace the different the different strings that are related to your project. Okay, to the project. So have a look at everything and have a look at all the configuration files, because there probably you will learn a lot of how it's configured. If you are using another technology or you are using another kind of reports, try to adapt this to the workflow. I mean, at the end, we also have examples on Angular, examples on JavaScript, and but the objective is almost the same. Okay, at the end, the workflow used is can be adapted to other technologies. Okay, if you want some Angular, for instance, we have an Angular example on Jenkins, we can share with you without problems. Okay. Again, check the POM, check the SCM section, artifact ID, change everything that it can be changed, okay? And check also the changelog and also the Docker configuration, because what we are doing is to prepare also the repo for deployment, not for deployment, but for delivery. The idea is that the deployment process should be a process apart. What the focus on this configuration is continuous integration and continuous delivery. Of course, you can include also continuous deployment, it's not a problem, but from my experience, when you are releasing new things, new features, it's better to have a, let's say, manual interaction or meetings or things that need the recommendation is not to fully automate until, I mean, if you are releasing 5 versions each day, okay, you can automate. But at the end, if you are releasing each week, okay, you can do it manually. It's a kind of process that it could be included automatically, but it depends on the project needs. Okay. In this case, what we are doing is put the artifacts to be deployable at any moment. Okay. So GitHub. What do you need to do with GitHub? GitHub, well, I guess that all of you know that it's a well split the source code management, and you need to prepare some things on the repo. Okay. Firstly, you need to have a personal access token. Why? Because at the end you are handling with the repository, you are changing things. I will show you later on, and you need an access token to interact, for instance, with Travis and to interact with other tools. Okay, so create the personal access token. It's something, it's not rocket science, so go ahead and prepare the repo accordingly. You need to protect your branches. Okay, by default, I guess that master is protected, but if you are creating new branches, they are not protected. So you need to add a rule to protect the branches. Okay, and of course, another thing you need to include is that check that the pull requests are in a good shape. Okay, I also recommend to include reviews. Here you can see that we force to receive reviews apart from the administrator. For instance, if you have some colleague that is expert in something in some part of the repo, it's advisable that more than one person in the team check the repository. Okay, this is something regarding robustness and regarding shareability and regarding try to have a look at much as possible as at the source code. It's good for the newbies and it's good for the experts. It's good for the newbies because it learns to provide reviews to the source code, and also to receive this kind of reviews from expert developers. And it's good for expert developers because they are writing the source code with DM to be read. I mean, with DM for clarity, and then you are. It's something. It's a kind of cultural of changing your mind. Okay, if you if I as a developer I'm aware that another people, a newbie or an expert, will check my source code, honestly, you put much more effort that okay, this is working. Okay, this is not. It's not important to include this test, and it's not important to include the formatting. And actually, I can assure you that the code is much more clear, much more clean when you know that other people is reviewing your code. Okay. You need to force Travis and the automation servers to not to allow to merge the code if the compilation, testing, and so on are not passed. And then you need to include these checks in the configuration of the repo. And also, this is quite important, restrict who can push to the protecting branches. Okay, so only owners of the repository or administrator can push to the protected branches. Okay. Release branch should be also protected, but as you can see, and I will show you why in the last part of the webinar, is not needed the part of the pull request and so on. Why? Because the process of releasing should be done by an administrator. Okay, it's a kind of separate the roles. The people merging code into master are mainly developers. People merging to release are administrators, and they are deciding at some point to release a new version according with the different meetings with the stakeholders, according with the meetings with the product owner. I mean, this is a process that does not need the pull request process. Why? Because master, it's supposedly to be clean. Okay, this is more or less how behavior. One of the things it's possible to do also is if you are including integration test or regression test, Again, there is a process, a previous process when you are releasing a new version in which you need to pass all the integration tests. Then it is advisable to include the pull requests here. But remember, it depends on your needs. If there are a bunch of teams that needs to do different things, pull request. If only the administrator should provide the release, it's a process that does not need pull request. In this webinar, I will show you how I am doing the process of releasing a new version. Okay. Regarding Travis, well, I extremely love Travis. Travis is so simple. It's incredible because at the end you only need a file and a GitHub account. And then when you have the GitHub account, there is a flick. A check button in which you enable the automation server. That's all. If you have a good Travis YAML file and your repo is well configured, it's a question of one click to enable the Travis CI. Okay, I mean, what is the cons of this simplicity? Sometimes simplicity includes that all the configuration files embed some complexity. So, but that's why it's good to have different examples, different repo examples to copy. Because at the end, you need to configure well the project, but at the end, this is the kind of file I expect. Okay, it's quite simple, and here you need to include the security tokens that I will show you later on. Okay. This is an example for Maven, but as you know, Travis allow a lot of languages. One important thing is that right now the default Java virtual machine used by Travis is Java 11, but you can include also here a specific JVM. Okay, so if you are using JDK 8, you can include here a tag with JDK. And including the Java virtual machine you are using for compiling things. Another recommendation is try not to use, and this is a recommendation I'm not following, try not to use the latest version of things because things will fail for sure. I mean, if you are using the latest version of Java here, and for instance, Travis decides to include the latest Java version, for instance, Java 13, and your repo is not prepared to compile everything, the compilation will fail. So try to stick to versions in order to avoid strange behaviors. Okay, it's something that is happening also in this repo because one plugin was released and then everything, the testing phase changed. Okay. As I mentioned, access Travis, browse your public projects. Remember that private are not available if you have a public account, a public GitHub account, and then enable the GitHub repository. That's all. It's quite simple and quite effective. And one important thing is that you need to check that the different for your workflow needs, you need to check that the automation server, the CI is enabled when pushing to branches or when pushing to pull requests. Okay, there are a bunch of settings that you can use. I recommend to play with this and to learn and to still, I mean, not to stick to what others are doing, but improve and refine the workflow for your needs. Okay, and one interesting thing, and not only in Travis, in almost every CICD tools, is that you can configure environment variables. In the 12-factor recommendation, one of the recommendations for this kind of processes is you need to use as much environment variables as possible. Okay, so try not to stick to, well, this is something is obvious, that try not to store credentials into your GitHub repo, at least personal credentials and so on. Everything should configure regarding environment variables. And Travis allows two different ways of configuring environment variables. Okay, there is here a link. You can include manually all the environment variables and to include all the dependencies here. As you can see, we are using a private SonarCloud instance. This is not needed anymore because what we are using is the open SonarCloud instance that I will show you later on. Okay. Pros, you are including your own environment variables with a simple graphical user interface. Con, sometimes it's cumbersome. If you need to include several projects, on each project you need to include environment variables. Why? Because Travis is not allowing you to include the same environment variables for an organization, for instance. This is maybe something to improve, but it's okay. And then one of the things Travis included is the encrypting variables. This is a very good modification. I don't know where Travis included this improvement, but the aim is that you can encrypt the environment variables inside and be able to store all the encrypted environment variables inside the files. This is quite good because it improves the shareability, but again there are cons. I mean, I don't like to say okay, everything is fantastic, because each encrypted variable is associated to your GitHub repository, and this means that if you are forking, for instance, and it's quite okay, if you are forking this instance into your GitHub personal account, you need to again re-encrypt everything. So you are not able to use the same encrypted values than me, for instance. But it would be a nice refinement or improvement if inside the organization we can use the same encrypted variable. So you only need to include the encrypted variables in one repo or in a repo at the same level of the templates, that it can be shared between all the repos in the organization. But okay, for Windows, I put here a RabbitGem, a Windows RabbitGem, if it is needed, and in Linux, it's the Rabbit is available, so you can install Travis, and then it's quite simple because you only need to encrypt the variable and add to the Travis YAML file. Here you can find also information about this. This is something I mentioned. Remember that the encryption is done at repository level. And one important thing is that encrypted environment variables are not available for pull request from forks. This makes sense because someone modifying your CICD scripts can provide a mess with the personal tokens. So it's a kind of trustness inside your organization. If someone is creating new branches, can use the encrypted environment for, let's say, in the pull request, but for foreigners, you cannot use the encrypted variables. They are not allowed to use your encrypted variables. Okay. Okay. Code coverage is also a well-known open source tool for test coverage, and again, the success is based on the simplicity. You only need some credentials in this page. I will show you later on, and to include this snippet into your Travis YAML file. That's all. With this, if your repo is well configured and is providing code coverage report inside the compilation, Travis is able to get the results of the test and upload to the CodeCob project. And this is quite nice because at the end the badges are the best things in the repositories. When you have a lot of badges, green badges, okay, it's a kind of proud, self-proud thing. Okay. SonarCloud. SonarCloud is the open source tool of SonarCloud. SonarCloud is, I guess, that is the most used quality analysis tool, and they provide an open source and freely available deployment that you can use integrated with GitHub. You need to have some configuration things into SonarCloud. Once the first time you create your account, SonarCloud asks you for different information. Okay, here I put also the links with different further information on this, and then you need to create a user-ended authenticated token for your account. Why? Because Travis will connect with SonarCloud using this token. And then you need to encrypt this token, as I mentioned before, okay? So here you need to generate the token. SonarCloud can view all the open source project of your GitHub account or organization. So everything is mostly integrated without any further refinement, okay? And if you have an organization, then you need to choose the organization to create the token, to create to the project to push. I mean, to this organization include the repos, and then these repos will include the SonarCloud analysis, okay? And select the organization and select the different repos. As I mentioned, everything is integrated, and those tools are quite user-friendly if you need to include the different configuration things, okay? And finally, you need to select the free plan. And if not, if for private projects, you need to include different information, okay? And again, it's the same. You only need to include this snippet into Travis, the organization, and the token, and that's all. This is the kind of things you need to include for SonarCloud to be enabled in your project. And finally, it's Docker Hub is a Docker registry, everyone should know. And again, it's almost completely integrated with GitHub. Okay, then again, I put this as a reference on what you need to do. But it's advisable if you are a team to create an organization and not to use personal accounts. And then, as you can see, when you create a new repository in Docker Hub, you can link this repository to your GitHub account. You see, it's quite simple. Again, connect, and that's all. And once you are connected, a repo, a Docker Hub folder, let's say, or repo, or whatever you want to call, and it's connected to the GitHub, you need to provide authorization to the different applications they want to connect to your GitHub account. It's in authorized author apps. This is just in case you find problems in this process, okay? Because sometimes I put here things that happen to me, but this is moving quite fast. So sometimes things are included automatically. I found problems with the Docker Hub authorization OAuth part, and then I put this into play, okay? As I mentioned, you need to create a repository, connect it with your GitHub account, select your repo, and then we have two different triggers, okay? What we are doing is when things are pushed to release, this means that we are releasing a new version. Please include the latest Docker tag and build it. But also you need to somehow tag the image. So including this regex configuration, what we are doing is we are getting the tag of the release coming from GitHub, and then again build this tag with the same source code, but at the end different tags, so people can download the latest and also download the release, the last release. Okay, and finally you need to configure these automated builds, and well, this is the bunch of material I put here. Please have a look at this if you want, or if you did it. You probably will learn a lot, and I will go right now for an example. I guess that sometimes things are much more clear when you experiment with this. And I have here different. I will show you first the different tools we are managing. So as you can see, we have the GitHub repository, okay, and the badges I showed you later on. At the end is what I told you before. It's quite nice to see the badges here. I mean, it's quite nice to see things in your README and so on. I put this as a reference. We have I put here the different slide share presentations that should be review before starting playing with this. And as I mentioned, well, try to include different things in the README file and also the license, that is important, and play with it, okay? Just try to play with it. Regarding Travis is here, as you can see. Travis is nice, includes a nice graphical user interface. I also opened the CodeCob tool. It presents also different graphics, but honestly, I never use this. The SonarCloud that is here, sonarcloud.io, with the different quality analysis of your source code, and finally the Docker Hub. Okay, as you can see, there is something that is in release. This is a test I done half an hour ago. So the good thing is that you can see here the different releases and the different releases versions, and also the latest version uploaded to the Docker Hub repository. Okay, I guess if I update this, probably it will put, okay, you can see that this is the last an hour ago. I include a new release, and it's here. Okay, so let's start. My recommendation is try to follow this kind of workflow, but remember, it's up to you how to implement it. Okay, so I will focus on the reformatting part. One of the interesting things on this is that here you need to start with the issue creation. Okay, these issues can be, let's say, templated. I mean, at the end, it's useful and advisable to include templates for the issues. As you can see, we have 3 different templates. Those templates are included at the organization level. Okay, the organization level include a GitHub folder with the different templates here. Again, feel free to fork this to use in your organization or in your reports, and include different issue templates, different pull request templates, contributing template, and also a code of conduct template. Why? Because this is something will guide the implementers and the developers to do the things right. at the beginning, and I will show you how this could become cumbersome. It's for quick interactions. Maybe it's cumbersome to include all the pull request template, all the fields. But when you start using it, it's quite important because people receiving the pull requests will thank you all the information you are including. Okay, so try to stick to the templates, use the templates you are more comfortable with, and go ahead, but use it, because at the end, if not, things become a mess. There are quite bunch of different people, and each one with different thoughts, and each one with different ways of work. So it's good for organized people, and it's better for people that are not so organized. For instance, I'm quite unorganized, and I appreciate a lot that my brain is guided in the process of this kind of things. Okay, so I will go back to the creation of the issue, and I realized that there is no formatting in the repository, so I will include refactoring and indentation. Okay. As you can see here, indentation. So as you can see, you need here to describe the issue, include refactoring and indentation. Okay, and then it's your filter related to a problem, source code cannot be read. I mean, source code is a mess. Yes. And then describe the preferred solution. Well, this is something, okay, you can use, formatter, blah, blah, blah. Use a nice formatter. Okay. So I will create this as an issue. Of course, I will assign to myself. I will include a label, but because this improves the issue, okay? And also, our recommendation also is to use the projects in GitHub. GitHub, I guess that 2 or 3 years ago, include a Kanban board inside the repositories, and it is quite good for organized things. Okay, as you can see, as is something I wanted to stress before. The repos includes automatically the templates. Okay, you can access to the contributing guidelines, but also to the code of conduct. Okay, try to be good and blah blah blah. And it's good because at the end provides a lot of information on how to handle how to interact with your repo. Okay, then I submit the new issue, is number 9. Then in the board, the idea is this is something discussed depending on your methodologies. You can discuss this. Okay, well, it's time to start with the it's time to start with the refactoring and indentation. Okay, I will start implementing this feature. Okay, then once this is something related to the DevOps and Agile methodologies, but you need tools to guide you in the process. Okay, so the Kanban board is I mean, it's not the perfect solution, but it's a solution that could work, and it's available in the same tools you are using. Okay, so try not another advice is try not to reinvent the wheel. If there are tools inside your current tools, do not start using another tool because it's fantastic, because probably it's including a new tool that people should learn, more noise, and so on. Try this as as much simple as possible. Okay, then I started to implement my new issue, then you can use your Git preference. Usually, I use Git GUI and Git Bash are freely available, and you can download wherever you want. Usually, I use it's my preference to use Git Bash to create new branches, but it's up to you to use it. And in order to push commits, to include the commits and to push things, what I use is the Git GUI. I will show you later on, and it's up to you what to use. I mean, it's not a kind of you need to use the tools that are more comfortable with. And okay, refactoring and reindentation. Okay, and indentation. Why I put in here this label? Okay, again, you can use whatever you want in your naming, in your nomenclature, but we realize that we lose the focus if we only include the number of the issue, because if you include the number of the issue, you need to go to the issue, see what it's about, and I mean, at the end, you are losing time. If you include that is a feature that is number 9 and a short naming on what you are trying to do, it's with a glimpse you have everything. You know that this a feature is a 9, and I don't, and this means that administrators can handle this more quickly. Okay, it's a kind of as I mentioned, there are a lot of minor things that are quite important, and this is something is a very minor thing, but it's quite important because it saves a lot of time. Okay. And then I created a new feature for me. Okay, remember everything new you see should go to a new branch. This is something good for experts, good for newbies, good for everyone. If you want to push directly to master, is also okay. It's again depends on your needs. And then I will start to reindent this mesh. As you can see, you can select everything with the different keyboards shortcuts. So again, now is a nice indentation, is quite readable, and then I will save this new indentation for this file. And as I mentioned, I like to use the Git GUI for easing the task of including the commits and the push. I mean, you can do the same with Git Bash, but it's something is good for my brain. So what I would do is that, okay, refactor and reindentation. Remember, try to write good commits messages, because people reading this will read also the commit messages and will read all the information inside the new change. I mean, not for refactor or reindentation, but for complex features, you need to group the commits. I mean, the commits by functionality. And actually, Mario, you can share here a link you shared before about some commit message rules, right?
Yeah. Okay, no problem.
Okay, I will share also. Maybe I will include in the repo actually. Okay, then I commit the change because it's something finished, and then I will push the feature into the repository, into remote. Okay. And going back to GitHub, you can see that if everything is okay, everything was well. I have the new feature included in my repo, and then it's the moment of merging the results. Okay, I want to include this feature into master, and as I mentioned, the template is included automatically. So this is something I said when it could be cumbersome at the beginning, because there is a lot of information that you need to include, and sometimes it's okay, I don't need all of these things in the pull request. Yes, you need. Okay, So just the changes, refactoring, and indentation. I know that I'm repeating things in different parts. I need to include that it's docs code format linked, just to the administrator to check that this is not a build or test functionality. Again, code style and refactoring. There is no build related changes. And what is the current behavior? Okay, you can put that it's a mess, but it's related to if there is an issue that you want to relate to this new issue. Okay, then I need to fix this issue just to show you that the changelog. This is important because the changelog is automatically generated regarding this information. Okay, what is the new behavior? So this clean, and then this is introducing a breaking change. No. And finally, some additional information that I will skip. Okay, so I will remove this for clarity, and then I can select someone to review my request. Okay, I will assign to me, but also at least one approving one approving review is required. This is what I mentioned before, that in the repos we force to review the source code. I guess that here is Mario. Okay, if not, I don't need you. Okay, Mario, but I will put you just as an example. Again, some label and also the project I'm using. And you can see here the different changes. And then I will create the pull request. Okay. And once the pull request is sent, the automation server Travis starts compiling things and checking that everything is according the things, the tests are passed, the sonar analysis is done, and so on. Okay, if you can see, okay, it's the pull request here. You can see that Travis automatically start the compilation part and the testing part, and we will wait until everything is finished. Another thing you can do is as it is refactoring and it does not include modifications in the source code at level of functionality, you can include in the commit message CI skip, and then the process is skipped. This is extremely useful for documentation, refactoring, and so on. You don't need to pass all the CI parts. If the administrator check that in the commit there is something okay that needs to be checked, then okay, I don't approve this because it needs to include the CI part. Okay. Okay. Do you see that everything is executing and so on? You can check here that everything is executing. Another thing I wanted to show is that you can see that the merging is blocked. This is because I force to automatically provide one approving review. But well, if you are an administrator, you can use your administrator privilege to merge this pull request. So okay, it's something nice, but if the administrator is like can I skip all the reviews? Okay, this is, I guess that this is almost finished. I will wait until it's finished. Okay, this is it's uploading things to Sonar, and I guess that okay, it's finished. And you can check that here it's finished. Everything is SonarCloud bot commented that everything is okay, and other different information regarding the the checks, okay? And then Travis is saying to you, okay, everything is okay. SonarCloud analysis is passed, continuous integration is passed, and then, but the merging is blocked because you need an approving review, okay? As you can see, the Travis is in green. If not, Travis CI will put in like this one, for instance, and then I will merge the request into master. And as you can see, there is some code cop processing. Okay, you can see that the code cop is doing their job. It's including here the last code coverage calculation. And of course, as I mentioned before, it is merged. And going back to the badges, you can see that the badges are updated, are upgraded. Okay, so here you can see the new code coverage. If the code coverage change, it is included here. If the quality code is not passed, it's also mentioned here. And again, if the build did not pass, again, it is mentioned here. In the SonarCloud, you can see that, okay, we checked the last analysis at, I guess that as I didn't change too much, probably there is no updation in the part of the, it's including the last version, okay? In master, but at the end it's including different things on quality analysis regarding bugs, regarding vulnerabilities, the technical depth, the code coverage, and so on. It's a nice tool, okay, and it's quite a user-friendly tool. So play around with the SonarCloud analysis, and it's time to release a new version even. Okay, you can say that if it's only including indentation and refactoring, is not too much. It does not make sense to release a new version with refactoring and indentation, but okay, for the sake of showing what we are doing, it's a nice time to release a new version. Okay, so remember, always pull. When you are interacting with your Git repository, always pull to avoid conflicts, okay? Then I pull everything into master, the last refactoring provided by the last feature. Okay, I forgot to show you that the issue is closed because it was included in the pull request, and probably in the projects it's included also that it's finished. Okay, you can check this, that the issue is fixed. Okay, this is done. Let's release a new version. I pulled all the changes that I need to check to change the branch, to release branch. Now I am in release. I will pull just in case. Even usually release branch is always in a good shape because you only need to include the new things from master. But just in case, follow the rules of Git, okay? They are saying that I cannot do pulls, so I follow what Git is saying to me, and right now I can pull the changes. And let's merge the master branch into release. As I mentioned, you can do this using pull requests, or you can use this directly. I'm going for the simple part. Then I merge everything into release, and I will push scan again just to push things to release. I will push a new version, and again I will show you that Travis is doing their stuff. Okay, the push is done, and then Travis start with a new process raising from release. Okay. Okay, I guess that it's starting, or well, I don't know. Just let's wait a couple of. Okay, then they will start. Travis start to with the push process, and they start doing releasing a new version. Okay, I'm trying to update this because I don't know why I push things, right? Okay, everything is up to date. Okay, it's supposed to, I don't know why, because I send a pull request, a push regarding templates. Maybe it's, maybe Travis is intelligent enough that in order to see that there is no changes, there is only reindentation changes, but I don't think so. But in any, okay, it's here. Okay, I checked I was checking the master path, the master branch. Okay, you can see that that the master is executing the release, and we can wait until everything is finished. Okay, and I will show you how the final result is done, and what we are doing in the process of releasing. In the process of releasing, what we are doing is upgrade the version of the build management. You can see that what we are doing is we are releasing the version 0.0.4, and okay, this version is not needed anymore. So in the process of releasing, there is some plugins on Maven that provide the automatic increment following same version nomenclature. Okay, so at the end, what we are doing is generating automatically the changelog. You can see that here we have different releases and different things. We are incrementing the version inside the POM just for other implementers, other developers to continue with the project. And also we are releasing new versions in Docker Hub. Okay. At the end, what we are doing is preparing things for release the version we want at any time. Another thing we are doing with this process is to create a new release. You see that the same process, the same automatic process is including a new tag in the repository 0.0.4. Docker is building a new image 0.0.4, a new latest image with this new functionality. And I don't know, when it's finished, I will show you how also the changelog is automatically generated. Okay, so we are doing different things regarding semantic version functionality. What we are doing is preparing the artifacts to be available for the rest. So you can download the tag from GitHub, you can download the from Docker Hub. If you have an artifact repository or a library, you can download the library from the artifact repository, and always following the same versions, always with robustness between different tools. Okay, and as I mentioned, the changelog is generated. I guess that this is always, this is something. Okay, you can see that the new version is changed, 0.0.5, that the changelog, again, is modified. I will include what we are doing with the versions is that it include the last version, because the processing of calculating the changelog cannot calculate is done before you are releasing the new version. So that's why here I included it is included the next release, and then it included the last thing we did it. So as you can see, I checked different labels in the process, and at the end it's much more clear if you take your time and include different labels, because it's generating also the changelog, and it does not need too much further modification in the changelog, which is quite cumbersome to provide a good and readable changelog generation. Okay. And well, as you can see, finally, you have here the different badges. You see that there is a new Docker pool, there is a new processing in the Docker images, and the Docker is building right now. So once everything is done, it will include here that the Docker build is passed. Okay, and I guess that I'm almost finished. So if there is questions, please, it's time. Okay, 1 hour. Oof, 30 seconds. 1 hour, sharp. Wow. I'm becoming like a master of, of these kind of things. Okay, if there is any question, please, now it's time to do it.
Hello, Carlos. This is Angel. Could you pass the PowerPoint you're using in order to have all the links and so on?
Yeah, actually, if you access, okay, I will put here the repo. Okay, in the repo, is the everything is in the repo. Okay, but here the presentations and also the material is inside the presentations. Okay, you can access here, and I will put also the different material inside here, and I can share with you also the PDF. Okay, I will upload here the PDF of the presentation. Okay.
Excellent. And another thing, I used to work with Spring Boot as well. Normally what I do is using Maven, I generate the Dockers. I'm not sure if you...
I had a look at the Maven plugins for Docker, and there is a problem with the generation of the versions. That's why we skip it. Okay. When you generate the versions using the Maven plugins, the Maven release plugins, it takes the version, let's say outside, I mean at the POM level. If you are using the Docker plugin, you cannot access this release number. So you need to play around in order to upload the POM version to Docker Hub. And actually, as Docker Hub is completely integrated with GitHub, that's why what we are doing is use the Docker Hub functionalities. But you can use also the Maven plugins for Docker if you have other requirements, okay? Because at the end, they are quite good to use. I play with this, and they are quite good. It's from Spotify, I guess, these plugins.
Yes, there are. And well, it's just, I didn't know, I wasn't aware that have problems with that, but easier that all the process, because
this was the reason. At the beginning, we were using the Maven plugins for Docker, but we skip it because Docker Hub includes this requirement for us. I forgot to mention that in one of the webinars, someone, I guess Matthias, or I don't remember, or Franz, recommended some Maven plugin that I didn't show you. Is the license Maven, license Maven plugin. Okay, it's quite good because if you execute this phase, all the third-party licenses of the component are listed. Okay, so it's a very good plugin for documentation, not for the CICD process itself, but for documented all the third-party licenses you are using, and to comply with your open source selection. Okay.
Okay, but it generates a a new license document or?
Yeah, it provides a site. Just wait a minute. I guess that you can, with Maven site, it's calling to the license thing.
Well, in the meantime, while you're doing that, other thing that I'm playing around is with a Maven plugin to generate code from Swagger files. I'm not sure if you have tried.
I tried the Maven, the Swagger. It's Codeine, right?
Yes, it's well, it's not Swagger because it's the one I'm using. There's two versions. One is directly from Swagger, and other for open. So
Open API. Yeah. I play around with the Codeine plugin, and actually it's in our to-do list because it's something. It's quite interesting to generate the code. Having the specification of the APIs and on the of the endpoints. This is one of our to-do list. So
well, but then contact me because I work with it. So
okay, perfect. That's would be nice.
The rewards, but the only problem I have with it is that when you want to generate a DAO, GPA object, it doesn't include some tags, the entity tags you need for it, you know. But anyway, we can discuss.
Yeah, let's wait. Yeah, I will contact you for sure because it's something we need to prepare. Okay, it's downloading a lot of things. Okay, if you can see, it's including some dependencies.
Mm-hmm.
And you can check that here is what I'm saying. With this Maven plugin that Franz or Matthias recommended, it is it's listed the artifact ID, but also the Apache license you are using. You see, it's amazing because I lost a lot of time checking all the different licenses of the third-party components, and when this was raised in one of the webinars, I started to play with it, and you can see that all the third-party licenses are listed, and saves a lot of time because at the end you need to do this manually, and everything is done almost automatically. Okay, so try to include this also in your let's say workflow or way of work, because at the end it's important to know all the Apache licenses, all the licenses, open source licenses, or from the third party components. And also it's good for you because you are using different components that you are not aware of this, because of the build management tool, because you know Maven is quite good, but sometimes it's like okay, it's including a lot of things, a lot of useless things, but it is everything listed here. Okay, so it's also included in the repo, so you can use it if you want. And I guess that's all. Anything else?
Yes, I have another question. And it's about the integration with agile methodology and so on. We are now in several different projects trying to integrate with agile, and you don't recommend, for instance, to use a specific thing like Taiga. You recommend to use the GitHub functionality.
It depends on your requirements. Taiga is or tools similar tools are quite good if you want to join different repos into one let's say board. Mm-hmm. Because right now neither GitLab nor GitHub provides let's say common Kanban board organized by organization. What I trying to say is that sometimes you are handled with different repos, but you only need the one agile or agile methodology board. Then I recommend, that's why I recommend Taiga. If you want to join different repos into one Kanban or a Scrum board, but if you only are using one repo and one board, the option would be GitHub because you save time.
I see. No, well, only one project. No, you can work with several different projects in there.
You can work with different projects, but the boards are different. So you need to change between boards for different repos. Instead, Taiga or similar tools allows you to integrate different GitHub or GitLab repos into one board, giving you the whole picture. That's why it depends on your needs. The default recommendation is using GitHub or GitLab board. If you need to include more than one repo into a Kanban board or a Scrum board, then use another tool to provide a whole picture. That's
and I'm missing from, because the Kanban is, I think, is useful, but I prefer Sprint look and using a Sprint epics as well. So
yeah, then go for Taiga, because Taiga is quite good for this more agile organization.
Okay. And generally, in GitHub or GitLab, you will put issues that are technical. In Taiga, you can put whatever. You can put epics or issues that are not technical, that you cannot solve in the repo.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just what Mario said. GitHub boards are related to technical work and
more low level. Okay.
Yeah, and forget all the let's say agile processing. It focus on the technical part. It's simpler and you can use it, but if you need more, for instance, to include epics or sprints, then go for Taiga.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much.
Okay, so anything else? As I mentioned, always contact me directly if you need some questions and improvements. And at the end, I'm quite happy because the part of the license of listing the license of third-party components is something was cumbersome to me to generate. I was doing using Excel files. You mean manually including all the third party and including the licenses, and right now it is done automatically, and this was because of you. So try to share everything, try to improve things, and contact me if you have something to say to me. Okay, I will stop then the recording.